And if this doesn't work, I will turn off my video or something. I don't know.
It's working.
I rechecked all the settings. Everything seems right. Shut down most programs.
You sound good now. I was muted when I said that.
All right. Anyway, Louisa, our current poet laureate, has agreed to do a workshop and a reading. And she asked if there was a theme that we wanted. So I guess first question is, do we have any kind of theme that we want?
Poetry that makes her happy? I don't know.
Well, we could just leave it up to her.
Yeah.
Do we have a topic for the theme? Or again, leave it up to her?
Well, I would suggest there've been so many poetry readings lately that have a pandemic theme that we not do that.
I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that. So
Yeah, but if she wants some guidelines, I would suggest veering away from death, destruction, and pandemic.
How about something with humor? You know, it could be different types of humor. It could be sarcastic. It could be silly. It could be critical, you know.
yeah, I don't think that fits the kind of poetry she writes. So I'm not sure how.
Are you asking for like the subject of the workshop or the types of poetry we want her to read, or both?
A theme would normally be either a broad subject or a mood or something like that. But
For the
we don't-
workshop part.
either for the workshop or for the whole event, or both.
Well,
We
how
haven't
about
done-
what makes
haven't-
good poetry? That's a broad topic.
I'll run those by her and see what she has in mind. And it sounds like we're not wedded to any particular thing. So I guess, we'll say dealer's choice mainly. So,
Yeah,
Whatever
I think
she-
as long as it's positive, anything that's positive, I think would be good.
Yeah,
Well, that-
anything better than our meeting we had last Saturday.
what meeting was that?
Riverside Writers.
Riverside Writers, we had a presenter who was very fond of profanity, like every other word.
It was pretty bad.
Well, as my mother would have said, don't swear, it sounds like hell.
Well, it was a lot worse than that.
Oh, well.
Well, I learned a long time ago that whatever workshop I go to, I will learn something. So that being said, I'm sure whatever she does will be wonderful.
Sometimes you learn that you didn't want to be at the workshop.
As much as I hate to say it, I did learn some things last Saturday.
All right, so MC. The MC certainly can read during the open mic, but does anybody want to be the MC?
What does that involve?
You welcome people and you introduce the scheduled workshop participant and scheduled poets. And then when we get to the open mic, those you would read the names of the list of people who have used the chat function to say they would like to read.
Oh my God.
And then you say, thank
I
you all.
don't mind.
Goodbye.
I don't mind helping, but I would be concerned that something might happen. I wouldn't be able to be there, and that would leave everybody in a lurch. Right now, I'm
Okay.
finally healthy, but I have no car working, so that's always something.
Okay.
But I will help in any way I can.
Well, we're doing it via Zoom, so.
So that's not so bad. I can do that without wheels.
Beth, you did it once before, and
She
I've
did a
been doing
great
it
job.
since. You know, I hesitate to put my ugly face there every time, so would you mind doing it this time, or are you not sure?
If I have technical problems, I'm sure I can trust you to jump in and save me from drowning.
Well, I will manage the admitting people and muting people,
Okay.
and that sort of thing.
Okay,
Basically, you would just be the MC, so I'll be the AV tech. Although,
Okay.
Will we have a limit to the number of participants and for the whole thing because it's online?
well, Germanna Community College has again agreed to co-sponsor it. So we'll be using the college Zoom, my faculty account there.
Mhm.
And I think I've got a limit of like 100 or 150 or something. And
That should do it.
that would be
We should be
that would
okay.
be a nice problem to have.
That'll
When we were doing it live, I think the max we had was 50. So,
Mhm.
and I think since we've been doing it this way, the max was any event that I've gone to, I think that there's only been most 35 people. So
Mhm.
we're in good shape there. I mean, if
How would
necessary,
how would we publicize this so people could enter the meeting?
well, we're gonna do what we did last year. We'll get a flyer designed by the marketing department there. We'll distribute it through social media. We'll ask those of you in different areas of our district to, if you have connections with college or high schools or libraries or whatever, to ask them to post it virtually, or
Mhm.
if they can, you know, on bulletin boards. The college will also do some promotion of the event. We have, you know, I'll try to get a hold of folks at Blue Ridge Community College, and I don't know, whatever Fairfax is going to be called now. I can't remember. I think it's named after the hill. And see, and this Mary Washington University. I don't know if anybody has connections at JMU. If not, I could just contact the English department and see if
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater. Stan Galloway, who is a member, is a poet there. And he had offered to read, but it doesn't look like he made it today. So, but yeah, I'll ask him.
He's always a good guy to do stuff.
I mean, that's the most we can do. We don't really have an advertising budget
Mhm.
other than what the college will invest. I will invite my creative writing students, and I always offer them extra credit. So normally at least a handful will show up for that.
And in the past, we've put it into the Freelance Star Weekender. That's free.
Yes.
Yeah,
That needs to be done soon. Because they have that.
I mean, right now we're looking at the 28th, probably 5:30 to 8, including the workshop. Probably do what we did last year when Beth did the workshop at the beginning.
Mhm.
And so if people want to do the workshop and skip the reading, they can do that. Or if they want to do the reading and skip the workshop, or if they want to do both. I will download the recording once the event is done, and I will break it up into it's probably 3 segments, with the workshop, the scheduled 2 or 3 poets, and then the open mic. And I'll publish that on YouTube.
Would you think of getting in touch with Eastern Mennonite University? They have they have a writers read program where, which is quite popular.
I mean, I don't know folks there. And the
I
longer I've
used
been
to.
retired, the fewer people I know at different places, so.
Right.
I know someone at Eastern Mennonite. I could pass the
Yeah.
information on there.
Okay,
I belong to an organization here in Rappahannock County that tries to keep interest alive in people who are 50 and over. I can tell them about it. There might be somebody there. They do have
Okay.
a writer group.
That's a good idea.
Mm.
all right. I'm taking my own notes here, so that's why I'm looking over there.
So if you send out the publicity, each of us could send it out to our own network of contacts.
Mhm.
Are we gonna
apart
have an
from the
age
ones-
limit on this?
Apart from the ones that you've already mentioned,
Right.
other people. Mhm.
Right. We've never suggested an age limit. I mean, it is an adult event, but I know some middle schoolers that are more mature than some adults, so. Generally, when we've contacted schools, we've done high schools and up.
Mhm.
I've not had any luck yet with high schools.
I could probably contact the supervisor of gifted in Stafford is a very good friend of mine. And I could work through her and make sure all the middle school gifted teachers know. And then she's also a published writer, so she might be able to get the information out to high school language.
Okay.
So if, once you get the information, I just send it to.
Okay. Because I know one of the problems in the past has been the assessments that they do, the student
Oh.
learning outcomes, and they're so concentrated on
Mhm.
that unless you get them late in the year after, they don't need to focus on that. One place I worked when I was dean, we had a grant and we had a whole workshop where we brought in area high schools, and we had 250, 300 high school students that would come in.
Wow.
And then we would break up into small groups with different poets and English teachers meeting with each group. It was really nice, but we don't have that. I've been trying to think of how we could get more younger people, younger being, I guess, even under 50 maybe. But certainly millennials and younger. And
Is there some way using the PSV young, the kids that submitted poetry to the contest? Somehow maybe they might have some contacts, because I'll tell you, I had a student win one year, and that's an incredible list. And I think they're
Yeah.
going to publish their poems. So maybe we could get names.
normally we don't have contact information through this of individual students. We have the teachers. So if we go through the
Right.
teachers, that's, if they've graduated, then it's a problem.
Well, I just knew they were going to publish, I think, the poems, and I thought maybe they might have some way of using that information.
We can try. And I'm also thinking, we need to do something more with spoken word performance poetry, that sort of thing. Maybe that has to wait for when we can do it live, though. As far as who is reading, besides Louisa, Stan had said he would like to read, but I'll have to confirm that with him. Lyman, I think you had said.
I sent in an interest, yeah.
Do you want to be a featured or do you want to just do it as part of the open mic? What's your preference?
I'll let my ego rule and I'll go for feature.
Well, you don't have to.
I feel unsure about that, but let's go ahead and do it.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to have won a Pulitzer or a Nobel or something.
To say some of us have already done it, so you would be in good company.
And we don't want to keep having the same people every time.
Right,
So
right.
if you haven't done it in the
I'll
past.
be a newbie then.
Yeah, I'm bored with
Don't
that.
we need
Bored with that Sam guy. He's always there. So.
Don't we need to conform to whatever theme it is?
Well, I don't think we're going to bother with the theme. I was just throwing that out as an
okay.
option. So the
Okay.
theme,
Usually the speaker who joined the other speakers, we had about 15, 20 minutes to read poems
Yeah.
of your selection and then talk about them, I guess. Is that right?
yeah, I'm thinking probably Louisa will have about 90 minutes for the workshop and her reading.
Mhm.
And then the next two featured poets will have about 15 minutes each.
Mhm.
And then that gets us to 7:30-ish, is that right?
Mhm. That's right.
And so as many for the open mic as choose to, each one can read one poem
Mhm.
or a couple of shorter ones. Yeah, it'd be a nice problem to have if we have so many that it goes longer.
But just a suggestion, I was attending a virtual reading not too long ago and they had put a one poem limit on it. And there was a woman who had Hemingway tendencies. She went on and on and on. And
One poem?
one poem, and
Oh.
it must have been 10 pages, and the facilitator didn't want to cut her off because she was abiding by the rules, but the other participants were really getting twitchy, and she
Yeah.
prevented quite a few people from having an opportunity to read.
Well,
So,
Should we limit it to like so many lines or so many pages?
well,
Well,
you
I
could
think
say
Five
minutes, too.
5 minutes or
5 minutes, yeah,
5
something.
minutes, okay.
maximum.
yeah, because that way people don't feel like they're being held captive.
Yeah, if somebody reads the, first 5 books of their epic poem or something. no problem. Linda, you had also mentioned
Yeah.
that you might want to read. But it sounded like you wanted to do it during the open mic.
I've never participated before, so I think I need to be modest and perhaps I'm happy to do it during the open mic if you need to, but I don't think I want to be featured in any way, unless you feature me as making all the possible mistakes I possibly can. But yeah.
Well, we'll put you first in the open mic. How's that?
Well,
That'll make her really nervous.
I don't mind that. Get it over. And anyway, when a Zoom thing goes on for more than 90 minutes, I am failing, just being there.
Well, you'll be at the 90th minute, so it'll be up to you to wake the rest of us up.
Okay,
No
well,
pressure.
Now,
the
is
only other thing I was going to say was you want a variety, a diversity of voices. And if you want other than, I have read, I think before, I think I have in the open mic type thing. So if you want other folk, that's fine with me,
Well, you provide diversity by having an accent from.
Oh, yes, I keep forgetting I'm an immigrant.
Although, since
and
I'm from the Midwest, I guess I have an accent too. So.
well, I don't have an accent.
Not much.
Now, again, the open mic is open to anybody. They don't have to be members, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
It'll be open to the public, to students.
And that's where I'll fit in. I'll do something then.
Okay, Susan, very good.
I'll be glad to read if there's time, but since I did the workshop last time, I'd rather, if we have enough participants, let's fill it up with other voices besides.
Well,
mine.
you did a nice job when you were emceeing of the live one. There was time at the end and you
Yeah,
had
that's
something
what you
ready and you
did.
read some nice stuff. So I think that's a good way to do it. If we're
Okay.
running late, then you can censor yourself. And if we have extra time, you can jump in and save the day.
The other thing, it might be nice to intersperse some of us that have done it before with those that haven't, because if we don't do it, then they would wonder why we're not doing it. So if we can contact other people that have read before to see if, not all of us. I'm like Beth, I can go to the end, save my accent to the end.
Well, we'll have some scheduled, and if any of my students choose to read, we'll have them scheduled in advance.
Good.
And then the others will sign up that evening by indicating in the chat box that they want to read. So
One thing that I often wonder about, and you may have more experience here, is that some folk have a poem they want to read and they spend like 4 minutes introducing it. And they have 1 minute left to read
Yeah.
it.
yes.
And I think a little guidance on that sort of thing might be helpful.
Well, if we say you have 5 minutes,
So you
then you've got 5 minutes. And if you choose to
Yes, but
use
for
5
new
minutes to
people-
talk about how you wrote the poem and you don't get to read it, then
Well, if they're new people, or especially if they're students, that could be quite,
His kids will know.
Yeah.
most of the students, in my experience, want to get off the stage, whether it's Zoom or live, as fast as possible. And the
Mhm.
challenge is normally I rehearse them in the classroom. And when they try to run away, I say, stop, give a
And
chance,
don't speak too
enjoy a little
fast.
bit of applause, and then get off the stage. So-
You can always tell the ones that have never read much before. And then when they do a good job, you just want to stand up and applaud for them.
Yeah.
And there have been some really special moments from your kids in the past.
Yes. I
Yeah.
agree.
I will schedule I guess we have our October meeting before the festival. So that will be where if we have any issues, concerns, we'll be able to have any organization that we need during that time. If we need another organizational meeting before that, I will schedule and send something out. I did want to talk briefly about the Centennial celebration. 2022 is the 100th anniversary of Poetry Society of Virginia. And so statewide, we're going to be holding a celebration. The regional meetings, so our meeting in a year from now, will be one of the things leading up to the May 2023 statewide festival, which will be the ultimate event. So we're going to have one October, another region's November, someone else is going to be April. Now, somebody may choose to do something after the May event, but I've not heard that so far. I don't know, right now how we're going to do that. Hoping that we can do it live and have it done somewhere that it would be nearer the center of this huge area. I know if Germana is willing, we could do it in Culpeper. But, Culpeper is
That's
still an hour and a half or something like that from Winchester and from Harrisonburg. But then, of course, it's an hour and a half from Caroline and Stafford, too. So the other thing is, if we do it there, we could also live stream it. In the future, I would really like to be able to do that for events like this so that those who are housebound or don't have transportation or whatever can still at least watch. And maybe we could use texting to have questions come in. And if people wanted to be able to read but couldn't make the event live, we could maybe record them in advance and they could be there remotely, but we wouldn't need to worry about video feeds or anything like that that night. Ideally, I'd love to do two festivals, one for the North Central, one for the Northwest, but we don't have enough folks to do that. And I really don't want to be driving myself from Winchester to Harrisonburg to Culpeper to Fredericksburg to try to organize it. So I'm thinking one event somewhere sort of central and then
Well,
live.
the building at Culpeper where we've had the fundraisers for Jemena, that's a very nice facility. Is that where you're thinking?
Yeah, it was designed for conferences.
That's only about an hour or less from my house, so that sounds good to me.
I mean, I'd have to, again, have Germana be willing to sponsor it because then the fee is waived for, the rental is reasonable, but we don't have much of a budget. So it doesn't matter if it's reasonable if you got $0.
Maybe we could do a program and sell ads, a print program and sell
I
ads.
don't want to sell ads anymore. I've had
No,
to do that.
no,
now.
I've done that before. No.
I was a retail salesman for 15 years and then higher ed, a lot of my job was sales, so that's okay. The other thing I did not accurately convey about the Centennial Anthology. There is going to be a Centennial Anthology, and I had misunderstood now that we've had some meetings on it. It's going to be our poetry. So we will be submitting to it from our regions. And if you're a member, probably you'll be guaranteed at least one spot in there. I'm going to be serving as one of the editors, although if one of you want to do that with me or instead, that'd be fine for our region. As we get further in down the road, we'll see, because probably we'll be getting poetry from people in Virginia, not just members. But I'm not sure on that, exactly how that's going to work yet. But the idea is for the selection of those poems to be done and the paper book collection be available for the May 2023 festival. So if you're a member, certainly plan on submitting some things to that as we set up the method for submission and everything.
So maybe like submit 3 and the editors get to pick the one they want, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. We'll be clarifying that in our meetings as we have meetings on the anthology.
And to piggyback on Madeline's earlier thoughts, you anticipate that one will be a themed anthology, or is it too early?
We are discussing the themes right now. There's a number of nominations. So I'm guessing, yes, it will have some sort of a theme and have something to do with Virginia.
That sounds good.
More
Make it
to
a more
come.
coherent document, cohesive.
I know somebody thought that we were the first poetry society that's still around, but the American Poetry Society, which is out of New York but is now national, was actually the first.
The Centennial for the Virginia writers, and they didn't have a theme. They just said the best of the Virginia Writers Club. Centennial Anthology 1918, 2018.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be something like that.
Yeah, the theme is nice.
So any questions about the centennial celebration or anthology?
David, I can volunteer to be, to help you out on it. I'm mostly retired, and so looking for some activities.
Okay, that would be great. I will let you know when the next virtual meeting is.
Okay, and I can drive to see you, whatever I need to do.
Where are you?
I'm in Harrisonburg.
Okay. Yeah, I live in the extreme east of Orange.
Yeah.
So.
I'm still I'm only 4 years in Virginia. I'm still enjoying my drives through it and seeing the countryside.
Well, when I was president of Germanna, I put in, I don't know, 40, 50,000 miles a year in the state card, because our district is a little larger than Delaware. And when you combine it with what is effectively Lord Fairfax's district and Blue Ridge Community College is half of its district, it's big enough. Anything else today, business-wise?
I did have one question. There's a possibility I'm going to move to Florida spring to be near my sister who could take care of me rather than my kids. Do we allow people who've been members and move away to stay members as long as they pay their dues?
As far as I know, people have continued to stay members. I've seen some that were out of state addresses, but let me verify that.
If it's not addressed in the bylaws, that would be a good thing to add, that,
Yeah,
because we want to keep as many people as we can.
Well, I know that the writers clubs,
Yeah.
because I belong
Right.
to Virginia writers as well as Virginia, but I didn't know about the, Poetry Society of America may have different rules.
yeah, I think the only thing that we wanted to address in the bylaws was that if you're on the board, you need to live in the state.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes.
You're on the governing board, but
Mhm.
I don't think we've restricted membership to having to physically live in the state, as long as you support Virginia poetry. I mean, you have to be a poet to be a member. The role of the Poetry Society is to promote poetry, and
Mhm.
there's no reason why you can't just be a lover of poetry and
Mhm.
never want to write it and still be a member. And we do have, faculty members, things like that.
Mhm.
So, but I will verify that, Madeline. I don't think there's any rule about that. Because I think the issues come up as to where do people belong in which district if they live out of,
Oh, okay.
so. Okay, we're about to run out of time. So we got anything else?
Thank you for all your hard work and keeping us organized. You're a wonder.
Well, you're generous.
All this coordination. Oh.
All right, everybody
Forward-
stay well.
You too.
Susan?
And you'll send us when the graphics department gets the flyer, you'll shoot that to all of us.
Yes. And Lyman, I will need since you're going to be one of the 3 featured, I'll need a headshot and a bio,
Okay.
a good headshot photo. I don't mean aesthetically pleasing. I mean in terms of size.
Okay. I'll send you a poster.
Digital.
You mean a big head?
Yeah, that's right. I've already displayed.
Mine's
I have
big
that.
enough. That's okay. All right,
It was
thank
great
you.
to see all of you today.
Thank you, and
Thank
you.
y'all.
I was going to say, is I
Thank you.
hope sometime soon I can meet all of you in person.
Yes,
That would be nice.
It will.
we will.
Thank you.